All right, here we are at episode 3 with the great opening. Adam, walking near a battleship and the inner harbor of Baltimore. It's definitely the most dynamic opening that we had up to that point.
This is my favorite episode that we shot. Definitely.
Why?
Our crew came together. The planning, it was just start to finish. It was a really great time.
Well, I think we had a great feeling about this episode in particular because we had shot the first 2. Then we launched the Indiegogo campaign. Like I said earlier, we used the 2 episodes to hopefully, show people that giving us a few bucks was worth it. And they did. So by the time we got to shoot episode 3, we were feeling better. Not that we didn't feel good about the first 2 episodes. I don't want to paint that picture.
No.
But obviously our confidence was up. The word was starting to spread that, hey, these guys were doing something pretty cool. And
I kind of felt like I knew what I was doing a little bit more by this episode.
Also, this is the first episode where we shot with a Panasonic GH5, which was a step up from cameras we had used in the first 2 episodes. Chris Marillis came on board as the DP for this episode, and Tim Sesniak, originally introduced to us by Brian Walsh, one of the producers, to do sound, but really is more of a shooter, and he became the shooter, the DP, for most of the rest of season 1 as well as 90% of season 2. And there is Christopher Walker, who is here introduced as Chuck West. We've never actually done a poll to see who the favorite character is for people, but if we did do that, I'll bet you Chuck West would win.
He's definitely the creepiest character that we have.
Just that hat.
You gotta love him.
I remember he sent me pictures of all these wardrobe options, and when I saw that hat, I'm like, wear the hat and the glasses, and he's got the bagel.
Oh, it's great. This actually, we got married in this courtyard.
Right, this is a library in Baltimore that we turned into the bagel place. I forget, what's the name of the bagel? Something Bagels. It's a really funny bagel name, and I can't remember what the place is called.
I don't remember.
Let's be honest. You're a little light on the 21st.
These are all of my coworkers from the school that I used to work at in the background. They were nice enough to help out that day.
Again, a simple scene in terms of the coverage. You get your medium close up, you get your wides, and then the consistency is as an actor, as long as you're consistent from take to take, you're giving the director a lot of options, or the editor, I should say, and director, a lot of options in post. And Chris is so good that it was hard. It's the greatest feeling in the world when all the takes are great, and you just have to figure out which is the greatest of the great. Mm-hmm. Because he's a really very funny and very very strong actor. And so Chris Walker gets introduced in this scene, but then working with him and the chemistry that's developed between the two of us made it important that Chuck be seen more often. So his role got developed even more in season 1, and then in season 2 you'll see even more of Chris Walker as Chuck West, as he becomes pretty much a series regular in season 2.
One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in real life. Couldn't be.
I think we said that on Bart to Dickie for the fun. We can't keep doing that with all the, because eventually we're going to get to the actors and be like, how come you didn't say I'm the nicest?
Okay, well,
we love you, Chris Walker.
we do.
You should see him because he's great, and
And you can just see the sort of the way Adam is trying to plead his case, and it's again tonally. I really like the way this scene came out. Also, we didn't, Nikki Estridge, who plays Abby, she moved to Tennessee in the summer of was it 2017, when we had pretty much just finished shooting the first 2 episodes, and then we brought her back later on to shoot some stuff. But we had to figure out a way to creatively keep the character involved in the story, even knowing that we didn't have the actress there to play the role. So things like Adam on the phone with her earlier in this episode, and then the shot of her and Chuck West in the panties. Yes, it's funny, and I'm glad I wrote it, but it was also done with a certain amount of intention to find ways to keep Abby's character, or the character of Abby, in the show without having the actress there. This is we see Matthew Bowerman again as Adam's friend Greg.
Hey man,
I'm almost hesitant to admit this, but I
you
didn't.
want to invest in something? How about investing in your?
This came out great. It's a great scene. Two guys shooting hoops. You know,
Second best friend?
accomplishes what it's supposed to accomplish. But I feel bad that I didn't give Chris Morellis a better shot list for this. We kind of had to wing this scene.
Oh, I know.
And when you've got moving basketballs, that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, it's a continuity nightmare.
So, in hindsight, I would have liked to have been a little, as a director, honestly, I would have liked to have been a little bit more prepared for, excuse me, for that scene.
I keep telling you that, and you keep not
The
listening.
Kitchen of
Why do you think I can
Magoobies,
fix shit myself?
and
Because, you exaggerate, Brian.
you know, I swore after we shot, because just visually, this is not a very interesting place
No.
with the white walls.
on the money that I'm taking out of this place, man.
And I swore that
Some jokes, make a few dollars.
having shot in this kitchen in season 1, we would never shoot there again. And of course, there is a scene in season 2
No, there's a lot
that's
of
also
good
shot in
times
this
Baltimore,
kitchen.
Man. Give it to one of them.
What is it about the kitchen?
Yeah, I need a brother who knows how to run.
You know, it's one of those things where it looks, I guess, too much like a kitchen. Like if you had a budget and you had it and you were able to shoot on a soundstage, you could set dress that to make it look like an interesting kitchen, as opposed to just a place where in the back room of a comedy club.
I just saw the entire crew in the reflection there just now.
Yeah, you can see them back there. Yeah, I don't think we ever totally got rid of that, but nobody ever notices that.
I was the bad businessman, right?
Another one of my favorite scenes.
This was the best day.
This took a long time to shoot,
It did.
but it was worth it. That dolly shot that you saw,
Is Brian pushing
Brian
Chris
Walsh
Morellis.
pushing a cart with Chris Morellis on it and doing it so well that it really looks like an expensive, where you had track and I just think just this whole scene. This was shot in Frederick, Maryland. Thank you to the Frederick Theater. I forget the name of the theater company.
Fredericktown Players or something.
Yeah, this is their warehouse and their prop shop and their rehearsal space. So that's Bunny Themelis as Beatrix, and if you want to see what really high looks like,
Oh my gosh.
she was so high during the shooting of this scene that we had a lot of craft serve,
Oh, she was killing
potato
the craft
chips and
services.
cookies. She crushed it. Crushed it.
But
But it works
she has
so well
it's a
for the
great
character.
performance.
But Bunny, you were like cartoon high during this
I
scene.
remember I was dragging some of the stuff in, and I looked over and I saw her face, and I looked at Mark, and I just said, "What's wrong?"
The rest of us can watch. No, I really want to see what you're gonna do. Jordan, why don't you check out the stage? There's beer in the back fridge.
Yeah, and just we built the set. We got all of the stuff and drug it from the other room, put it in place, and it came out looking really great.
He means it like Sir Adam.
Yeah, and Dana Gillette, who at the top of the scene, you saw that picture of the Crack Monkey Theater, just like having that. And I felt like, hey, wow, we're really making, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we had like props and we really designed,
The set.
this space didn't look like this. We made
bare.
it look like this. And the lighting work that Tim and Chris Morellis did, I think in this scene is really, really stellar. And it's nice to see Adam sort of in the audition environment. And here he is for the first time. This is a guy who's been a comic for 25 years, goes on stage, crushes in front of audiences. Well, here he is, humbled because he's going back to acting, and
But I'm trying.
maybe he doesn't have the chops he once has, and he seems a little stiff in this scene. It was kind of interesting as an actor trying to play an actor auditioning,
You don't get to own every word.
but not doing a great job.
All things happen.
Acting like a bad actor.
But not so bad that it's like it's obvious. It was a challenge to, and I think I pulled it off where you don't look at Adam in this scene and go, wow, he's a really, really terrible actor. But
Yeah, I mean,
you can see that something's off. He's just not really connected to the material as an actor should be. And you see the difference between him and Matt Payne in the scene,
Hey, yeah.
because Matt Payne in that monologue
Great, Adam.
does such a nice job.
Mom, could you just
It's fun to write that stuff too. I like that I'm writing not only dialogue between characters, but little pieces of plays that don't exist and films that don't exist, and that's an interesting challenge and one I really like.
Not good enough. Fine.
this is Adam as a very tiny person talking to a giant.
Shot late at night in our alley, like right a few feet from where the next scene is set.
My mom promised that she would help
But
me.
I think with the sound work that was done, I don't remember who did the sound mix on this, if it was Doug Horvath or it might have been Bill Gale.
I think it was Bill.
Did a really nice job to sort of create the idea that this scene was taking place,
They already know my work. So.
Near a busy city street and not in really which was a quiet alley. I loved shooting this scene. Had an old friend of mine from New York and LA was in town to visit. She was in town for a convention. She stopped by to watch us shoot this. Again, what I was saying earlier about not having Nikki Estridge. So the person that I'm leaning down to kiss in this scene is Maria. But this was another way where, and then we had Nikki record audio at some other point that we put into this scene. So you don't lose. You kind of think, well, yeah, Abby's just as big a part of this scene as this episode is as any other, but she's not seen once, except on a phone.
And in the darkness.
Really nice work from Matt Payne
Being a philosopher,
in this scene. And this is one of my favorite scenes because
therapist.
the character of Jordan is, on some level, reminds Adam of himself at that age.
Cocky.
I love philosophy.
Yeah. And I think you get that
An unexamined life is not worth living.
in the dialogue between them. And there's this sense that, the older Adam is almost talking to a younger version of Adam, giving him advice that he wished maybe somebody had given him
You're extremely
all those years
talented,
ago.
Definitely.
Thanks.
But I heard you talking to your mom.
Don't let yourself be desperate.
Don't let yourself be desperate.
If I don't find that money by Friday, my roommate is going to throw my shit on the street.
I don't miss those days.
So don't miss those.
I don't miss those days. Me, Mark Unger I don't miss those days.
If I was a bathroom, where would I be?
Inside to
It's
the-
funny. I watched Adam Kellner,
Oh, can I have a
and
second?
I actually see Adam as he is different. He's not completely me. And so sometimes it's interesting. It's interesting to play a version of yourself. This song, written by Brant Dunn, was written specifically for this scene. It's the only.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I don't
Yeah.
think.
I showed
Thank
this
you,
scene to
Brant.
Brant. I said I needed something that, had a certain feel to it, and he just nailed it.
Nice. That was actually you standing in for the snorting because Matthew was having a hard time getting the job done.
Matthew couldn't snort. He couldn't get the stuff up his nose. I said, "Give me that." I got it up like a pro because.
It was actually not. I don't remember what it was, but it's not actually Percocet.
No, I don't. I can't
It was
remember exactly. What it was.
powdered sugar or something like that.
So that is episode 3. Again, if you have any questions about this episode or any other episodes, or questions at all about Thespian, go to thespianseries@gmail.com. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so and tell your friends.
Thanks, guys.